When I first knew of Oshi no Ko's existence, I thought it was really great that there was a series that really highlighted the things that happened behind the scenes, not just in the idol industry, but also in the entertainment industry as well. And I thought to myself that there wasn't any other series out there that is similar to Oshi no Ko. But I was wrong, because there is a series that, just like Oshi no Ko, showcased the dark side of the entertainment industry, and this series is called Perfect Blue, a movie that came out during the 90s, if you can believe it, that really showcase the struggles that a person who is an idol has to deal with on a daily basis. Not only that, but it also highlights many of the things that idols have to do afterwards, because being an idol isn't going to last forever, and obviously they're going to have to do something else in order to make a living. And in my opinion, I believe that Perfect Blue is much more darker and really just highlights it even more how dark this industry really is. Not saying that Oshi no Ko did a terrible job showcasing this, but I feel like with Perfect Blue, the direction and as well as the many moments that happen in this movie, it's very clear that this movie was not going to hold its punches, and it was going to show us something that we don't often see of the things that actually happen when you're part of this entertainment industry. And another thing that I also like to highlight about this movie is how it only focuses on that, the dark reality that is being part of the idol industry and the entertainment industry. Oshi no Ko did something similar with but it was only during the first few chapters or the first episode of the anime, in which it was mostly just used for setup in order to move the actual story. This being the revenge story of Aqua trying to find out who is the actual person that was responsible for Ai's death, whereas in Perfect Blue, it follows our main character named Mima, the struggle she had to face when being an idol, having to be perfect and having to show their fans that they are somebody that is completely perfect and that they can do no wrong. This of course creates an unrealistic image, because in reality Mima isn't perfect. She's just like any other human being. She also has her own set of problems as well. But sadly, if you're part of the idol industry, you're going to have to show the audience that you are perfect, even if it's not really true. And that's just something that always happens in the life of an idol, where the more perfect they look, the more fans they're going to get. But this also comes with its own set of problems, because sadly there are people who start to become obsessed with the people that they admire. And of course, this is just one of the dangers of having a parasocial relationship, because while there is nothing wrong with admiring somebody that you look up to, it is unhealthy once you start to think and believe that this person is somebody that belongs to you, and that everything that they say or do needs some sort of approval from you because you're one of their biggest fans, when in reality that is not the case. But like I mentioned earlier as well, this movie isn't just mainly focusing on the idol industry, it's also focusing on the acting industry as well, as Mima in the beginning of the series would announce that she will be graduating from her idol group, which is basically a way of saying that she is no longer going to be part of her idol group, and this is because she's going to pursue the career of being an actress. Once again, just really highlighting just how really hard it is to become really successful being an idol, because in order to become a successful idol, you have to be really popular. Sure, you could have the talent and you could have the looks, but if you're not popular and you don't have a huge fan base, eventually that person is going to fade away and they're no longer going to be relevant. And that is something that everybody struggles in the entertainment industry, having to be relevant and having to have offers in order to make a living. And Mima learns this very quickly when she's being an actress, where she has to accept offers that she may not agree with or she may not really be happy about, but because their offers are given to her, she has to do it because everything counts. No matter how big or small the role is, if she's able to do it, then of course this is getting her name out there and other companies and other studios will want to work with her. But like I said, some of these scenes and some of these offers that she has to do aren't really great, and in fact they're very questionable to say the least. I'm not going to go into too much detail about the things that she has to do because we're on YouTube, but let's just say that Mima had to do scenes and had to pretend like they were not a big deal, when in reality on the inside she clearly did not want to do them, and she really became traumatized, and you could tell just how much it has affected her mind. And this will be the beginning of Mima's mental state going downhill, and that is unfortunately something that's not too far off from real life, because something that's worth mentioning is that Mima is still very young. She is still a very young person that is put into these very difficult situations in the entertainment industry, and there's nothing she can do because she is not in control of the decisions that her agency makes, which leads her to doing a bunch of acting that she's very uncomfortable doing, but it's something that she has to do because she doesn't have the final say. which is unfortunate having to see someone so young being put through this because they don't deserve this kind of treatment. But it's something that does happen in these industries where young people have to do what they are told to do, and they have to handle so much responsibility that it becomes not only physically and mentally exhausting, but in some cases it makes the young stars and the young actresses wonder if this is really the life that they want to have. Should they really be putting all this time and effort into achieving the dream that may or may not happen? That is always some of the things that some of these people have to go through and have to wonder to themselves if everything that they are doing is worth it, or if it's better to just simply let go of this dream and simply go do something that every average person would do, which is to find other employment and try to move forward in life doing something else. But while all this is heartbreaking and really sad to see, this isn't only the reason why Mima's mental state starts to go downhill as the movie progresses, because unfortunately she becomes a victim of a stalker, and this stalker was somebody who was a huge fan of her when she was still in her idol group. The movie perfectly shows what happens when you have to portray yourself as somebody perfect that can't do anything wrong, and that is that there are people out there who genuinely believe that this person is completely perfect and that they can never do anything bad. In this case with Mima's stalker, he obviously was somebody who really had no idea that this was all just fake and that this was all just simply an image that was only used to get people like him to become huge fans of Mima. And when Mima tried to get away from this perfect image, it's very clearly shown through the stalker that some people don't want change. There are some people who think that the person they admire or the person they are obsessed with shouldn't even try changing their personality or their image of themselves, because if they were to change, they wouldn't be the same person that they admire so much, which is something that always unfortunately happens whenever someone has an unhealthy parasocial relationship in which these people believe that they have the right to dictate how the person that they admire should live their life, even though they have no right to do that whatsoever. And this doesn't just happen to singers and celebrities. In this current age where technology and the internet has advanced drastically, this can happen to pretty much anybody that has some sort of spotlight. It could be YouTubers, streamers, and even people who just simply post a lot on their social media. It can happen to anybody, and no one is safe from being a victim of stalking, and it's a horrifying experience that no one should have to live through it. And of course, while I'm not somebody who has had a problem with a stalker or has ever had a stalker to begin with, the stories and the case of people being victims of stalking is very terrifying, and you can only imagine what they had to go through and how they felt being in this whole situation. And this is what the movie also shows through Mima's case of having to deal with a stalker, because this stalker, after feeling betrayed, he starts to show just how crazy he truly is. Not only does he start sending death threats to her, but also starts to attempt to harm her as well as impersonating as her, and also trying to look at where she is and where she's going to go 24/7, which of course takes a mental toll to Mima because she doesn't really know what to do in this situation, and it's something that is clearly affecting her life. And you can quickly see it in the movie as how they showcase it, all the illusions and all the paranoia that Mima is facing, and it makes us wonder whether or not Mima is actually seeing this person, or if she's just so paranoid that she's just hallucinating that this person is actually near her when in reality they are not. But that is just one of the things that really is scary about stalkers, is that you really start to wonder whether this person is actually real or not, or if this person is near where you are or far away where you are. And this of course is something that's very scary with these kind of people. It's not only the fact of just how insane they are, but you start to also wonder if you truly are alone, or if there's somebody that's behind you that you just haven't noticed yet. And one of the terrifying good things that Perfect Blue is able to show us just how broken Mima starts to become is through these sceneries. The movie has a habit of showing us stuff instead of just simply telling us. Like for example, Mima's room throughout the movie starts to slowly but surely become more messier and more disorganized, which could be an imagery of Mima's mental state, how disorganized and how messed up it really is, because not only does she have to go through the things of being an actress, but she also has to deal with the stalker going after her. This wouldn't be the only thing that would show us Mima's mental state, as throughout the movie she's able to see a reflection of her former self when she was still an idol, and this former self seems to always have a habit of ridiculing her and making fun of the choices that she made, almost as if deep down she wishes she could go back to the former self that she was, but just simply can't because she already made up the mind to become an actress and follow a different path to the entertainment industry. But as if things couldn't get even more crazier with with this series, we also come towards the end, in which we get a very unexpected surprise, and that is that we come to find out that Rumi, this being a member of Mima's agency, is also just as insane as the stalker that Mima was facing throughout this entire movie. We've come to find out that Rumi also felt betrayed at Mima's decisions of leaving the idol industry for pursuing a career path as an actress, and because of this, Rumi is determined to get rid of Mima no matter the cost. And it's also hinted in the end that Rumi had something to do with all the things that Mima was going through with her stalker. All the more reason to prove that Rumi was an insane person all along. While she may seem normal and the movie was really good at hiding the fact that there was something wrong with her, in these moments Rumi shows us not only how obsessed she was of Mima, but just how insane and out of her mind she truly is. And I'm not gonna talk too much about Rumi because I feel like she deserves her own video, because this character has a lot of things to talk about. But in this video I mainly try to focus on the movie, so maybe in the near future I'll make a video talking about Rumi as a character, because once again she has a lot of things that are worth talking about. So yeah, that's basically Perfect Blue, a movie that shows us the horrible and the very toxic environment that is the entertainment industry, how being put in the spotlight has its own pros and cons, and how many people are not able to handle the things that truly happen behind the scenes, and how people in this industry unfortunately take advantage of younger people and make them do things or be involved in things that they would never really accept if it was a different situation, and how these kind of environments not only affect the person's mentally but can also damage their self-esteem, their identity, their pride, dignity, and even their destiny. Which is why when you hear cases of actors, celebrities, singers, etc. follow a dark path or go downhill, you start to wonder if the entertainment industry has something to do with the persons that they are now, if there's something that happened behind the scenes or the environment that they had to deal with that made them the person that they are now. Of course, these are questions that sometimes will never be answered and we won't be able to get the full story, but these are things that are worth thinking about and things that should probably be taken into consideration if people do have dreams of being part of the entertainment industry. And even though this movie came out in the 90s, nothing really has changed and is still relevant than ever despite being in a different time. We still hear the stories of what famous people have to go through when being part of this industry. And like I said earlier, parasocial relationships seems to have gotten worse thanks to the internet and advanced technology, and there's no signs of parasocial relationships slowing down or stopping anytime soon. But with that being said, I'm still very glad that we do have series like Perfect Blue and Oshi No to show us what really truly happens in these industries and how people can finally realize that not everything is sunshine and rainbows, because believe it or not, there are people who legit think that there's nothing wrong going on in these kind of industries when it's far from the case. Which is why it's important to have these series show us all this to make people realize that this is things that are happening in the real world, and these are things that are actually going on a daily basis, and these are some of the things that real life people have to go through in their lives. And that's where I'm going to end today's video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.